So behind me here is a giant 8 foot by 8 foot, just under 3 foot deep basin that we're going to plant a ridiculous amount of Vallisneria in, using a tall, deep basin for more water volume. And Val likes to grow tall and skinny. It actually doesn't like a whole ridiculous amount of light, likes to grow taller and kind of flow. So we're going to create the ultimate Vallisneria basin right up in here. Step one, no shoes. Potty time. And I misjudged this. I don't have enough dirt. Oh well. One bag short. And what you're doing here is you're rinsing it off. I like to rinse it and then dry it, rinse and dry it. That stuff's already been dried out, but spray this out and I'll come back tomorrow. But it's totally dry. Probably gonna add some crushed coral to this as well. You want the consistency of like a pudding. A little bit of thick to it, but not too much. And this is on a black tarp and we got a little sun, so this should heat up pretty good. Kids, don't try this at home. This is how I'm going to use soil as a substrate to grow a ridiculous amount of Vallisneria. I'm going to break a lot of rules that I typically follow in an aquarium because I have a larger scale operation here and I know what I'm doing. The plants absorb 400 to 400 times more nutrients at their roots than they do at their stems and leaves, which is why I'm standing in a giant 8 foot by 8 foot square of soil. Okay, this is Miracle-Gro organic soil. I have not added anything to it. It actually has a little bit of a smell to it as well. It has a little bit of like a dirt, kind of ammonia, kind of just open the bag smell. Typically you would take this and lay it out, spray it out. I've done that with part of this, got it wet, rinse dry, rinse dry, rinse dry in your own backyard until it really doesn't have a smell and it's been mineralized or whatever. We're not going to do that with everything here. About 7/8 of it's been done like that. The rest of it we're just going to roll. This is the super secret tip. Water changes solve everything. So if you over dirt your tank and you're getting anaerobic conditions, you can water change and poke around at it. I'm going to use some of this. It's not been rinse dried, but I can do a ridiculous amount of water changes. I have a big PVC pipe back there. I can pump water out. I'm going to lean on my ability to do quick and easy water changes here in the greenhouse, and that's going to help me get through the inevitable algae stage that I'm going to have and just the excess nutrients in this. I'm also standing in full sunlight in February. Yes, right here. So this is like the day to do it, okay? Do not pass go, do not collect $200. I can't do this another day. I got to do it now. So I didn't rinse dry all of it, but we're going to go like this. We're going to start by getting all of it about as level as we can. The plants are going to go down to it. So I've got a big patch over here. And all I'm going to do is get in here and stir this up. And I'm trying to leave a lot of it over here. And then in this section, I'm going to do something special. I'm actually going to clear a chunk of it out. And in this spot right here, this is going to be my work area. So instead of having a bunch of soil here, I'm going to be able to set pumps and stuff here. This is going to be like the get water out of it, don't worry about the substrate area. So I'm going to leave that little area without soil, and I'm going to thin out the rest of all of this. And I've been waiting to do this, dying to do this, very excited to do this, because once it gets going, and it's going to take 45 days for this to be sexy. One of my affirmations is postpone short-term gratification. So a little bit of gratification going here, but the long game on this is to never be out of Vallisneria, which we are out of often. So I'm going to grow a ridiculous amount of it in here, and it's going to be ugly. It's going to take a lot of work and a lot of maintenance, and I'm growing it in the sun, and gonna have to battle excess nutrients on a large scale. You know, you gotta do a water change on this. This is like, I don't know, 800 gallons, something like that. So got to, you know, have it built properly and just make it easy on myself. Typically in your own aquarium, you would want to remove all of these types of sticks and stuff like that because they're gonna float up. I'm gonna do so many water changes. I've done this a million times. I can deal with a little bit of stick action here. This is a production facility. I got some good looking valve tanks over there. So now we grab paver sand. Don't want to go any larger grade gravel than this. This has been proven time and time again, year after year, tank after tank, to be the good shit, man. So we use this and we cover, and you want to have a lot of this around. I've debated getting this brought in and like have just a dump load of sand, but then I still got to like shovel it and get it in a bucket and all that. The bags work. You go buy the bags, you roll. So I'm using this, and you don't want to cap it too much in your aquariums generally. However, I'm going to go, as this is going to be a produce a lot of val section, I'm going to go a little bit thicker because I'm going to be pulling it out. So I'm gonna be ripping stuff out of here. And when I do that, I'm gonna pull out the soil under it. So I wanna have extra sand. So typically you wanna use about 1 inch of sand on top. And like, all right, look, that's 1 bag. Look how much more we got to go. So we got a lot left, a lot of sand left to go. We've got a lot of bags here. And what I like to do is get a base covering on it and then go back through, and there's gonna be a spot where the stuff comes up. So you just gotta cover it as good as you can. This is the first 8x8 full-scale dirt we've done. Got a couple of them that we ran this summer as a little test, but they weren't this large. And they ran pretty good. There was a few mistakes, but that's what happens. One of the lessons that we learned was water flow, and we're gonna show you some of that in a little bit. That worked pretty well. And now we have probably a dozen bags of the paver sand, not play sand, in here, and we have looked around and we think most of the soil is covered. But the only way to find out if it's truly covered is until you fill it up. So what we want to do is look around, and then now what I'm going to do is slowly fill this thing up. And this comes back to like the work area here. I've got this little spot over here where there's no, very little sand or whatever. I'm going to put the hose in there and let it kind of flow in, but you don't want to just like blast the hose in here. You'll definitely mess up your cap. So I'm going to fill this up about 1 inch or 2 and then hopefully drop it back down. The scenario would be to plant it heavily out of the gate. However, you'd have to keep spraying the plants down. So I'm probably just going to fill it. I know it's going to be nasty and gross. I didn't rinse any of this. So I'm going to kind of do like a preliminary, fill it up a couple inches, halfway maybe, and then drain it back down just to kind of get some of that nutrients out of there. And then we're going to get the tweezers and get a little Mr. Miyagi on about 4,000 stems of val we got. That's the sound of the roof vents opening. Opening or closing? Are they opening? I don't know. The fact that the vent is even opening or closing in February is a great sign because it's hot in here. Those are set automatically at 80. Anywho, here comes the water. Now, this is going to look like chocolate soup. It's going to look horrible. It's going to freak 99% of the people out. But you got to weather the storm. You got to fight through that. So it's about to be really ugly, really messy. There's going to be problems. It's going to be a disaster. I'm mentally preparing myself, verbally with this, but once we get through that stage, it's going to be fine. On a grand scale, this is going to be great. For now, I'm going to plop the water in this corner here. And we just know we're going to get a bunch of floating sediments up. There was already some in the corner there. But we're going to fill this sucker up. And then we're going to kind of watch. And who knows, it might feel nice and gradually. It might have a bunch of pops. And then the most efficient way to plant it would be to do it with hardly any water at all, just for better dexterity. But ain't nobody got time for that. So we're gonna let this thing fill up here, and we're gonna go grab a bunch of crunk stems of val, and we're going to plant, they say, the bejesus out of this.